Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 33 of the Saratoga meet? No, 32 of the Saratoga meet. It's getting late and harder. I don't even know what day. 31.
You're asking the wrong person for how many days it's been.
32.
But it's coming to a close.
32. No, it isn't. It's not coming to a close just yet. We've got a lot of great racing left to go. She is Sarah Obadwi. I'm Andy Serling. And welcome to Talking Horses, presented by Saratoga Water. We don't have Saratoga Water in the set, which is very annoying, because A, we can't drink it, and we don't have the bottles, but we do love Saratoga Water. And we appreciate their support. Day before the Travers. Good news is, we've gotten to the point when the good news is that it didn't rain nearly as much as they said it was going to rain. And this meet, that's
not
good.
Raining right now. That's
No,
the
it's
good
not.
news.
There's like a 30% chance of a quick drizzle, but there's really no. It's going to be not raining tomorrow and Sunday, and it could have been a lot worse. So that's the key point. We are muddy and sealed right now and good. I don't know if they plan. They probably won't harrow it unless the sun comes out, right? Anyhow, it's good to be here. Looking forward to Travers weekend.
Yeah, I'm not Frank Mirmati. I appreciate him coming on for a couple of entertaining days last week, but it's exciting to be back and talking about some racing with you, and of course tomorrow, all the hype and excitement.
Should we do both cards right now? Just
yeah.
Get it happening?
Get it over with now?
Well, we
Sure.
don't know if we're optimistic that there'll be some turf racing tomorrow. Maybe all of it. Who knows? Anyhow, you need to head over to NYRA Bets. If you're not a member of NYRA Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code SPA200, and we will match up to $200 of your initial deposit. We have 3 pick fours today, 2, 4, and 7 of our 10 race card. Moving on. Saratoga contest tomorrow, Travers Day, $300 buy-in, cash and seat prize till 5 o'clock today. Head over to NYRA.com/contests. Some good disco music playing in the background, Sarah.
They've had some good tunes on since I've been sitting here for a little bit. It's been nice to jam.
We've really begun to really like. Is it like an inside joke that we play Hell in a Bucket every day? It's a Grateful Dead song that people may or may not know, but we play it a lot. 2-day pick 6 on the Travers. It's really 1 race today and 5 tomorrow. In fact, it actually is all grade 1s. The
Grade 1
personal
pick 6.
ensign going into the 5 grade 1s tomorrow, culminating with the Travers. Of course, it is Travers weekend, as you all well know. I think we have the, Sarah and I will be heading back to the Taste New York Pavilion after this to get a few drinks to get ready for the rest of the day. Nothing better than starting your day out with a few cocktails. That's our motto around here. Got to be 821 or over to sample or purchase. I think in my entire time at NYRA, I may have had 1 beer while I was on duty. I think a Belmont day once, like by the 12th race or something, or 13th after the race. I think that's it.
Only 1?
That may be, no, seriously, that might be my biggest mistake here. I probably should be drinking more.
The after hours drinks, they become more and more enticing.
We are on 1 to 5:30 on FS2, and then 5:30 to 6:30 on FS1. So get that clicker ready. You don't want to miss the personal ensign. That's Serial Live. Race number uno is off the turf. The 2-year-olds have really borne the brunt of the rain because we've just had very few maiden 2-year-old races this meet because of the rain. That's going to make things difficult going into the fall because they just haven't a chance to break their maidens. Nonetheless, you have gone to the firster, Feltrinelli. Is that a person, do you think? Somebody named Feltrinelli, or is that a thing?
It is, because I looked it up this morning. And apparently it is an Italian who is best known for translating and transcribing Dr. Zhivago.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Isn't
Do
that
you
fun?
know that I went to see Dr. Zhivago the day my family moved to Saratoga, either Labor Day or the day after Labor Day. It may have been Labor Day, actually, of 1973. The old Regent Street Theater, which is now, I think, an art gallery. It's on Regent between Spring and Union. Some people remember they used to have movie festivals here in the summer, and they would show them there. John Houseman Theater in the Park, Filene up in Skidmore. But I saw Dr. Zhivago that night for the first time. It's a great movie.
So I don't know if it was purposeful to name this horse after that particular person, but that's who I found.
I love that.
And I thought that was kind of fun.
I love that now.
Yeah.
That's great. I hope that was Randy Hill that did that, actually.
I hope it was purposeful.
That's
so.
pretty cool.
Right?
That's good. I like that's high-level stuff, Sarah. We can leave now. We're done.
That's it. I got nothing else for the rest
It's
of the
all
day.
downhill
That's
from
the only
here.
information I have available to share.
Sarah, I didn't love this horse's 2-year-old sales work, but I feel like I missed something because, man, they paid a lot of money for this horse.
You didn't like it? I actually thought it was pretty okay.
It was okay.
I feel as though he was asked just a little bit early.
The
but
be all and end all of that stuff. So.
Well, neither am I, but I mean, we have experts that look at that stuff more than you and I do, but I thought it was fine. I mean, he was asked a little bit in the early stages, but I just liked that he had like a bigger, longer stride and really lowered his head down. It was just very professional. And there is some dirt pedigree for him as well. The dam ran pretty well dirt sprinting. They paid quite a bit of money, as you mentioned, for this horse. And while Weaver is doing better with his 2-year-old firsters on turf, he can still get them ready to go on the dirt too. So I went with this one, who I thought would at least be a fair price.
And to be fair, you could easily argue that horses were entered in this race with the full understanding there was a very good chance this was coming off the turf.
Yes.
So the fact that they entered the turf, I'm not sure it's this was predicted to be a much worse day actually than it was. So in reality, I don't feel as strongly on that. Stone Street, I don't know the trajectory of him getting the 2-year-old sale, whether it was a cull for Stone Street or they sold him as a yearling. I don't know, or even weanling, but I thought that was a little interesting. I've got him second as well. Out of respect for the connections more than anything else on the purchase price. But global perspective, it was going to be favored, I'd have to think, by post time. I thought this horse ran fine first time out. I don't think it's anything spectacular, but sees the date, graded, wire the field, and Dornock, who I see is running in the Sapling as a maiden tomorrow at Monmouth, going a mile, I want to say. But I thought this horse made a real run and looked like a horse that might have a future and sort of closing ground and gets more distance. And as a tappet, you've got to think this horse could only relish the ground. So experience to me is such an advantage.
And the race earned a respectable enough Beyer speed figure as well. He got a 69 for there. We saw Seize the Gray return in that off-the-turf Skidmore and run third.
Hey, it was raining, too.
It was.
Actually, Seize the Gray didn't run back, because he didn't break.
He didn't break that well. He was coming from further back.
The race.
He ran fine, yeah.
Actually, they ran
I think
pretty
the race
well.
holds up enough that you have to at least consider this one, of course.
So Veracruzan, who we all left out, but I didn't get that info that he's been working up a storm in here. Veracruzan is kind of a cool name.
Yeah. I don't have as cool of a
Warren Zevon song,
story,
Veracruz, I think. It's on Excitable Boy, which is one of the world's greatest albums.
Yeah.
And one of his biggest fans, my good friend Joe Doherty, is going to be here today. So maybe he could bet this one for Warren Zevon.
Maybe.
Well, Joe's a great guy. You don't know
No,
Joe.
but the workouts
We
look
should.
extremely impressive. I put a little star next to him to keep an eye on for next time because this horse does seem to be working extremely well on the dirt. And something you mentioned a moment ago, that trainers and all these connections, they know what kind of season we've had so far with these races coming off of the turf. So it's likely some planning for that situation to occur.
There is more turf pedigree in him, though, than dirt. But, I mean, point well taken, but there is more turf pedigree. And my friend Steve just texted me and said, I know when Steve texts me, that's why I look. He's something interesting. That Feltrinelli sold as a yearling for $250,000.
Okay.
For whatever that's worth.
Fun first race.
We're here for information purposes only. Race number 2. So there's 2 places that most people are going to go in here. They're going to go to the drop-down Vax, as we did. Why don't you talk about her? It just feels like Linda's been winning with these horses, right?
Absolutely. And you know that she's trying to secure that trainer's title as well. So making an aggressive drop like this doesn't concern me as much as it might in another sort of circumstance.
Well, the owner's cool with Linda dumping this horse and losing money on the whole proposition to win the trainer's title? I don't think so. But I get that.
You have to at least consider that there might be a
$35,000 purse.
purpose.
After everything's said and done, the owner's going to get $15,000 and $16,000 when she gets claimed, and it's going to be out $9,000 and a month and a half of training bills. So he or she must be the most benevolent people of all time to dump $15,000 into a fireplace so Linda can win the trainer's title, and she's 5 or 6 behind Chad Brown, who's still probably a 95% to win the meet, right? I picked her too, but baloney. This is a negative drop on this horse.
Would it be more negative if there wasn't a possible chance for her to win the trainer's title, though? Would you at least consider it much? No, you don't care enough? Okay.
Let me put it this way. If she had 10 wins of the meet, are you telling me you wouldn't have picked this horse?
No.
You wouldn't have picked it, or you still would have?
No, I still would have picked her.
Okay.
When you look around to the rest of the field, of course I would have picked her.
Right. It's the sloppy track, too. Her big race 2 back was in wet. She might be a horse that moves up with some moisture in there, right?
Sure.
And she's certainly not hurt by it.
Well, and she was also scratched out of a place where she was going to be that likely lean on that day that we had that pick 6 carryover in the last race as well. So she's looked for a
She's
spot
the
like
lone
this where
speed
she's
in
going to be
a
live.
desperate field, and Linda seems to win with these horses. I still don't think that I feel as though sometimes we gloss over, the universal drop downs. When somebody's losing $15,000 in a month and a half on a horse, I don't think they're doing it so Linda can win the trainer's title that she's not going to win anyway. And Linda, I'm not rooting against you. We are friends, but I think she would say the same thing.
Sure. There are more reasons to like this horse than just that. I get that that's what you're saying.
Yeah, but she's also the speed, right?
Yeah,
Isn't she supposed to go to the
she's
front?
supremely logical.
Wire
She
the
makes
field?
a lot of sense in here. And also, when you look around at her main competition, at least on paper, it's really hard to trust the numbers.
Right, and here's Trust the Numbers' maiden win. Now, based on her maiden win a year and a half ago at Tampa Bay, she shouldn't be running for 16 in her third start a year and a half later. But not only has she done nothing since then, she ran once a year 13 months later, and now she shows up 5 months later dropping. And you want to say Chad Brown's trying to win races to win the trade? Fine, but, you know.
This is an extremely aggressive
right.
drop.
I mean, yeah, maybe she might have run for a quarter and it's not that big a deal, but she might win.
She might, but I can't take this horse on top of what's going to be a very short price.
I'm with you. I'm the same as you.
The exact same.
I feel like with horses in these cases, I'm going to trust Linda Rice to go to the lead with this horse and win more than Chad Brown with this horse off the super layoff. And I mean,
because you have to think if she had some sort of ability, anything similar to that first time out race that we saw from her, she would not be in this spot today.
Right, and I understand he's trying to win the trainer's title. I think the owner's title is kind of sewn up, and it's not like that Clarvis really thinks about.
I think they feel okay about that.
But he is trying to win races, but his plan wasn't in March when she ran so horribly. I'm going to wait until late in the Saratoga meet and see if I need her to try to win the training's title.
Right. You can tell that these were not the hopes and dreams that they had all along for a horse like this.
And we've both picked against our Rosie Diamonds, but I mean, there is an argument. She's coming out of one of the better performances. I mean, she did at least take Carbon to the wire, but she also lost a photo to Carbon. And that's something that basically nobody's ever done in their careers, and she's won for 15.
Right, and I don't love to see that. And that was also a race where she ran a little bit better than we had really seen from her so far in her career. That was a game effort. But I feel as though she's going to face that kind of pace pressure to her inside with the class dropping backs, as we mentioned, dropping back down to that $16,000 level. And I just want to see something like this again. If either of those two class dropping horses do show up at least a little bit, I don't think that she has a shot.
I'll tell you what's really incredible. La Aguililla actually finished second last time, because don't you just want to cement her in the third spot in supers?
Yes,
Thinking
I do.
like an all
which is why she's in the
two
third spot
all
in my
in the super play. Race
she
number.
does.
We spent way too much time on that race, and it's my fault. Race number 3. So we kept it on the turf, and it scratched a 4. The 7 and 8 are MTOs. They'll be coming out. I think we would have gotten 3 if we left it on the dirt. And I guess nobody wants to run against this monster. And I got to tell you, she's pretty good.
She is really good. I mean, she really aced the class test last time. Are you letting them know that that was the cue?
Yeah.
I think they know.
I don't think Eddie does. I think he's sleeping back there.
Uh-oh. They're listening to you.
I know. I'm just... I don't believe that, Eddie. Are
We
you
all
bugging my
listen
apartment?
to you. Come on.
Because you're really not hearing much over there, let me tell you. A lot of Grateful
Anyway,
Dead.
I think that...
What
well,
happened?
we saw it for a moment. Just a brief
Okay,
second.
there we go.
Anyway,
we
she
have
wins.
the greatest crew ever in the TV truck. We
I know,
really do.
They're hard at work over there to
They're
make
the
this
best.
entire show happen and get these replays going for us, and we greatly appreciate it.
Didn't it look for a second like she wasn't running here?
Didn't it look like Bubble Rock had the easiest lead and was just going to
I
lead
just
them on
thought
a
she was
merry
going
chase, and
backwards. I thought I
she
might
just
close
mowed
and win the
right
race
down.
with Wakanaka. And she just took off.
No, she had a nice turn of foot over a horse that had a pretty easy time of it, at least I thought, up front. And she put some good separation on a field that had been stakes-faced so much more than she had in her career. And she just buried him.
I'm not trying to beat her. You know, Bubble Rock, I wonder if Brad Cox was kind of hoping, oddly, this race came off the turf. The only time she ever ran in the dirt, she ran third in the fantasy at a mile and 16th behind Ujiri and McGean, who are both really good horses. And it was a mile and 16th. I wonder if Brad's going to entertain the possibility of maybe finding not the toughest of dirt races to take a shot with her in, going shorter. Because I'd want to give her, it's not like she's really going anywhere. I mean, she's doing okay in the turf sprints, but she's never going to really win a good turf sprint because there's always just sort of better horses than her around. Why not take a shot and see if she could be a dirt horse?
And with the kind of advantage that she has been projected to have in some of these races, and it's still not working out with everything going her own way, try something new. I don't disagree with that idea at all. I think it's an interesting proposition because we saw her get the setup that she's probably going to get today and it not work out.
Yeah, on multiple occasions. A good point. So trained Artemis, you have second. Here she is finishing second at Monmouth.
I just wanted a new face if I was going to take some sort of alternative to try to upset this favorite. I don't think it's likely to happen, but to try to put into my exacta, because this is a horse that I think at least can be tactically placed, and she's one that I see sitting right off of Bubble Rack, going to be a little bit more forward than Poppy Flower ended up scratching out of this race, as well as the other main rival in here. And I would just rather take an exacta with her second than the second shortest price in this race, because some of her races, where she can be a little bit more forward, do stack up, at least from a number standpoint.
Okay.
There's not
She
much
ran
else
well here
going
last
on.
year.
So.
No, I get the logic. Your feeling is you're not saying she can't win, but you'd rather have a horse that is a new face to the
Correct.
5. I understand the thinking. Race number 4. So I like the horse that scratched, HP Moon. And so I scratched into Dust Devil, and I guess he's the horse to beat. Here he is winning an opening day at Saratoga. I don't have anything to say about him. Do you?
Well, I guess maybe you even elevate him a little bit more if you do believe that the rail was dead on opening day, because he did spend a significant portion of the race on the rail and did still stay towards the inside when he was able to secure the win this day. So maybe you even elevate him a little bit more off of that performance.
Yeah,
if
he
that's
was more
what
in
you
the
believe.
two-path, though.
But he was on the rail before that, and then he does stay towards the inside throughout the full running of this
Well,
race.
he's in the two-path. No, I'm going to argue.
You think only just that one spot on the rail was dead, not angling on a little
that's
more?
something
Okay.
that's a phenomenon I've seen at Saratoga that you don't see at a lot of racetracks. And I've seen this going back many, many years, where the rail itself is bad and the two-path is fine. It's an unusual quirk of Saratoga, so I do draw that distinction. I'm not, so he was towards the inside, but I don't think it was a bad, inside. Those are more outside flow tracks. I've seen this. This happened a lot. The first year that Edgar Prado rode here, I want to say it was 99. It's whenever Richie broke his arm. It was 98 or 99, because that's why Edgar came, because he rode a lot for John Kimmel back in those days. And Edgar was like 2 for 60 to start the meet out. Now, Edgar at that time was as good a rider as there was in the country. He was a phenomenal rider. And I remember saying to Andy Beyer, Edgar Prado's a really good rider. He's sort of stinking the joint up. And he's been spending a lot of time inside, and the rail's been dead. And he said that's always been his Achilles heel down in Maryland, is spaying on dead rails. And I remember then it was a dead rail and the two-path was fine. It's a weird quirk.
Well, good to point
Isn't he
out the
just
difference if you believe that it's there.
I
because
believe
then,
it. I believe it. If others want to choose believe differently, that's fine.
I mean, he still won, and he still run two
still
races.
better than these horses, right?
Exactly, with the same exact Beyer speed figure of an 87. He just figures to be the most logical horse on dirt. And you know that he can at least handle the distance because he's gone further than that as well.
I will say with Truculent, who you have second and I have third, I didn't like him at all last time. I think you liked him. No, actually, I think I was
No.
on with Acacia that day, and she liked
Yeah, you
him.
can't give me credit for that one.
I didn't like him at all, and he galloped, but this is a much tougher field.
I agree. I just feel as though he's really improved coming into this barn off the claim. He's run some pretty good races in a row, and he was not necessarily a reliable winning type for much of his career. His last 2 races have been pretty good, and he's progressively improved his numbers
Yeah.
as well, even as he's stepped up in class, too.
And if anyone was going to benefit from the horrific ride that consumer spending got yesterday, why not Matt Cantermachi?
And
guys?
Debbie Jets is talented in
She's
her
a cool
own
horse.
right.
I agree. She was opportunistic yesterday, but she's a cool horse. You got to be there to be opportunistic, and they're
Of
not afraid to
course.
run her
And
at 30 to
also-
1 in a stake.
Exactly, and at the same time, she's a horse that we'd seen her be successful lately, getting things going her own way on the front end. So for her to have a change of tactics as well and be in the right spot
That's a
at the right
huge
time.
win for her. It's a huge
Yeah,
win
it's
for her
incredible.
and them, and it's awesome.
I agree with you on the
can't-
ride, Doug.
Well, I'm
As
sure
does
that
everyone
Joel's
else.
not proud of that ride either. I got Steiner second. I don't know. I thought the horse is kind of improving. You want to see him come from Finger Lakes and run here, and obviously the concern is this horse's races in New York are not nearly as good. I just wanted somebody else in there. I'm not going to go on the Truculent bandwagon now. Some of the horses staying in. I really liked Original in this race on the turf, getting to Rick Dutrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, the horse has some dirt pedigree, but the horse has never lifted a hoof when he's been in the dirt. So I don't know how I'm supposed to trust him. But I guess you could say first time for Rick, he could be a little interesting.
Oh, is he still in this race?
No, I didn't scratch him.
Okay.
Good job, Andy. Top of your game, but thank you for that.
I figured it was my fault.
I don't think he was on the. Was he on the scratches I tweeted out?
He was on the email that I got, which is the same as
Oh,
what you tweet
okay.
out.
Okay, I tried. Couldn't you have lied or something and said no?
You might see a different special fancy
I may
email
have been hallucinating in my apartment. It is a crazy
that
place.
didn't have original on
Race
it.
number 5. Race number 5 is a great race.
It is a great race. I agree.
Oh, and you have my pick.
Yeah, you copied me.
Yeah, I was up way earlier than you, so you could only have stolen mine. Well, my picks
You're right. I
have
stole
been up
this
for
one from you.
days. Go ahead.
Isn't this just a horse that's going to come from off the pace in a race that figures to have some speed in it? And isn't he also dropping in class from the Dwyer, where he did beat Prove Right home, even though they both finished hopelessly far behind some horses that were better than them?
Well, Prove Right was close to the pace, but I mean, this horse also picks up Katie. And
Who's riding exceptionally well this
yeah,
entire meet.
I like the switch to Katie, and I agree. I think this horse has run very well in some of those races and should get some speed, and I think he's super logical in here. We'll take a look at Prove Right beating Warrior Richer and Street Swag last time out. This is a great, potentially great, lesson in post position different. Getting the rail now with so much speed, he's going to be under the gun with horses like Joking Way in here. Heldish, who we'll get to in a minute. He's going to be getting his hand forced, where in this race he could stalk comfortably in the outside, and I think that's going to be tough for him. But he's a good horse, and I don't worry about him being claimed by Pat Reynolds. Pat Reynolds got great numbers off the claim, and as Pat told me the other day, he likes all his horses.
Equally? No favorites?
Joking about something, no, something else.
No special ones get any extra treats or anything? Everybody's exactly the same?
No, it's more about touting your horses. That was the illusion I was
see.
making.
He's talented. I mean, you can't dismiss that, and I don't view the first off the claim as a negative for him whatsoever, but I do agree with you, having that inside rail draw, he has to go. And there's other horses that are likely to go and push him on a little bit, and I don't know if that's going to work in his favor.
I think the horse to beat in here is the 6 Joking Way, who we have second. I think he ran fine last time. Good Heart came here, and I think ran 3 Beyer points worse the next time out, but did benefit from the speed bias. And this horse wasn't really hurt by it per se, but the way these Linda horses have done off the claim from Churchill, well, why wouldn't I want this one?
Of course, and you know that he can sit at least a little bit off the pace.
Is he going to be 6-1, really?
I have a hard time believing that.
That's the nastiest smelling cigar. It's a little early to be smoking that thing. I'll light my shoe on fire soon.
It's not pleasant.
8-1 on Joking Way. Okay, David's
Oh, no,
right
6.
on.
It's 6.
6.
Not 8.
He's been right on these lines.
I'm
He'll
the
be a
one that's
bigger
having
price
eye
than
issues. Do you need to
he'll
know?
be a bigger price. No, I saw 6. 8 was the 3. He'll be a bigger price than Dark Vector dropping down. Dark Vector's been awful.
Maybe they like that off the turf race.
I mean,
That's all
even
I see
that
there
race
is to
wasn't
like.
good. He can't even win off that. The 10-length win won't get him. He's got that one. He seems like his form has declined, and it just doesn't. George Weaver doesn't have great numbers. Maiden, he's like 22% in the dirt, first time for a tag, $1.43 ROI. Heldish, I looked at Heldish for a long time before chucking him out. Now, the rail was dead on this day, and the last time at Monmouth. We'll show his race 2 back. But he wasn't really on the rail. He went to the rail early. He got to the 2 path pretty quickly and then angled the 3 path. So this was last time. This is his race 2 back. He was just in way over his head last time. I just wonder, is he necessarily good enough? But he drew well on the outside. I threw him out, but I'm not sure I made the right move. I had him 5th.
He's interesting. I won't necessarily talk anyone off of him. He does get to be that advantageous outside speed in a group like this, but I don't think he's going to have any sort of easy time of it on the front end early. And I also, like you, question a little bit if he classes up to this group.
Yeah. I wanted to use Major Blue more. That was one of my more annoying of the beats of the meet.
Yeah,
Sky
that
and
was a good pick by
Sand, who's
you.
entered tomorrow. Well, where the heck did that race come from last time?
know.
He ran that huge race. And Major Blue ran well, but I feel like that was the time to have him. But he'll be a price again, so I'll have him somewhere in the mix.
All right.
Because he's at least spotted reasonably in this race.
Yeah, he does stay in a logical kind of location. I went to Mr. Bob, who I thought was a little bit interesting. We haven't seen him since the Holy Bull. Now he returns off the layoff in a spot that seems a little bit more comparable to where he broke his maiden. So he might not be able to run at all, but I thought he was an interesting price to look
Yeah,
at.
I looked at him a lot. I agree. Been a while since Robbie Falcone's won a race in Saratoga. I have this number somewhere else on the horse of his, but it's been a while. I did see him the other night, if that counts.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break, but we'll be back.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. make every day exquisite.
The miracle of modern something.
Technology?
Kyle, Kyle, you could have brought him on the set and then everybody got to see you. I mean, you are like a star in the show. It's just nobody gets to see you at all. You're like, one of those characters in a
behind the
TV
mirror.
show that they never, like that.
Yeah, they
was
always
it-
refer to, but you never actually know.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Cloris Leachman's husband and Mary Tyler Moore, which is before your time. Wasn't there? I think there was a doorman in the Bob Newhart show or something. Maybe that never. There's something with that. Yeah, those characters.
It's
you
so
don't
nice that we
meet.
have our own.
Like what's his name's mother in Big Bang Theory. You don't watch Big Bang Theory, do you?
I know enough
It's
to
a
know who you're
great
talking
show.
about.
It's a hilarious show. Anyway, race number 6. A lot of stories in race number 6. Stories,
Lots of
stories,
tips.
stories. One of them is the Brad Cox horse you picked on top. Another is Fierceness, the Pletcher Firster. Have
Well,
at it.
These seem like very logical too, even without all of these stories, don't they?
No, they're Firsters.
Pedigrees.
What makes a
purchase
Firster
prices,
logical? You think a
connections,
City of Light
workouts.
Firster is logical?
It's a pretty big damn side pedigree.
Yeah, she's had 3 foals and they've all been unraced. So she was okay. She was actually pretty good, but her foals haven't run. That sort of matters a little, doesn't it?
Just a little bit, yes, it does.
But go
Anyway,
ahead.
with Air Defiance, it seems as though this horse is working well. Worked in company with Slip Mahoney, who is another Brad Cox horse, who is an older competitor who ran well here the other day and seems to be holding his own in that kind of effort. The Dam is a horse that finished second in the test here a couple of years ago and just seems like a very logical first-time starter type that sold for a decent amount as a yearling, $400,000.
Yeah, Bob Baffert trained Fabian. This is the second foal. The first foal did no running whatsoever. I won't be surprised the runner. I put her second as well. And Fierceness, supposedly they love this horse, working
Equally?
well. I
Like
heard they did.
everyone
I heard
else?
they love this horse. I heard
Yeah.
there's a huge story on him. Put him third. I have no reason. This is guessing. I mean, I kind of the thing is, I'm not going to take
Anchises?
Anchises. What is Anchises?
I don't know. I didn't look that one up this morning like
I
Feltrini.
think I had it the other day actually. Anyway.
Someone will text you.
Well, that was the race where there was an incident as well, and all these horses hit the wire together. I actually had a daily grind. If you got third and I've got fourth, I'm always looking at these Lucas second-time starters, and his 2-year-olds have run so well at the meet.
And I know the number for that Valentine Candy race was not that high, but we did see a horse already come out of there and win, so it's also possible
Well,
that,
this horse did no running. Broke couple slow, and it was awful.
you would think that with the purchase price there might be some expectations, though, and Lucas is doing really well with his 2-year-olds, I will say, at this meet.
$1.35 million for this horse. Did not look like $1 million in his debut. Waja, we'll show the 2-year-old sales work for Waja. I thought this horse looked pretty good. Look at him.
He's flying.
Look at him. It's mid-flight.
The next flight line?
But this was an impressive, probably not. That's a lot of money to pay for a Laoban.
It is, yes.
It's a lot of money to pay for a Laoban, so I was kind of impressed by that.
10 flat, fast
Yeah.
enough, certainly.
This is not a, I will say, this is not a pick based on any information. I put these picks up days ago. I think I put these picks up like Tuesday. Oh, no, these I put up yesterday, the day before. But
Days ago,
Chad Brown
yesterday.
did tell me he thinks this horse is okay. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't.
Well,
We had a 2-second conversation about it, but there may be some good ones in here. There's also $1 million Cortland Farm. Cortland Farm buying horse for $1 million that was bred by OXO. That feels like it's counterintuitive, right? Should be the other way around.
right, yeah.
Then $3 million if OXO owned them.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot going on in this field, and as I said this about one of the maiden races that we had the other day, you will see horses not perform as well in this race that end up being pretty good. At least that's the hope.
Said that many times. I agree. You've got one for Bill Mott and Kaleem Shah as well. All right, race number 7. My phone's blowing up. What's going on here?
Is it about Anchises?
Probably is. So race number 7 was completely and totally shredded by scratches.
This was a really interesting
I
race
know.
before that.
This is the one race we really lost today.
Right, I will say,
I'm
I
particularly
completely agree.
annoyed. Reappealing and Unsung Melody and First Act.
It's a
I was interested in
really
Unsung Melody
exciting
and First
field.
Act.
Yeah. No,
And
First
so-
Act was one of my top picks of the day. That horse seemed extremely interesting coming into here on the cutback.
Yeah.
Would have to get a little faster.
Well,
but
she's not running, so we'll look at Headland. Let's look at Headland. Kyle. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to beat her. She ran huge last time.
She did, and this is one of those types of horses that we've seen Linda Rice claim from Ellis Park or Churchill Downs and bring in and just run slightly better and do very well for her first off the claim, facing tougher company, and now with all of these key scratches, clear-cut horse to beat, even though she already was before. So I don't know. Everybody's going to have to step it up a little bit, and she's also supremely logical and won't be too far off the pace either.
Okay, I got a lot of texts about Anchises.
Was it really? I was kind of messing with you. but I'm
Anchises,
excited
who's a
now.
member of the royal family of Troy in Greek and Roman legend.
Okay.
He was said to have been the son of King Capys of Dardania, of course, and
Oh,
Themist.
but of course.
Probably pronounced that right. Daughter of Ilus. They're cousins of mine. I should have known who this is. Who was the son of Tros.
Lots of name trivia today.
He is most famous as the father. Oh my gosh, there's a lot going on with Anchises. Showing my ignorance here. Frank and Nick all over me on this. I'm not trying to beat Headland, but you are with a horse second off a 17-year layoff.
Which isn't exactly what you necessarily want to do. But if this horse gets back to some of her prior races, including that race, which is 2 back for her, that 92 kind of buyer does fit and
She beat
give.
Tarabi. Tarabi's good.
Tarabi is good.
Tarabi won. Do you know what Tarabi did in her next start, I want to say?
Was that the race where she won from the chute here, or was that prior
Yeah, I
to that?
believe it was the Wilton, which, by the way, produced the Alabama winner this year. I believe was it possibly the first race out of the Wilton chute?
I think that was
Wilson chute?
her. Yes.
I think it's the first race we ran out of the chute, though, at Saratoga.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kinda cool.
It was. It's kind
That's
of
kinda
fun.
cool.
A fun fact.
a nice horse.
Another fun fact
Sharif,
of today.
yeah.
No, but I mean, that horse is very talented, and so for her to be able to finish ahead of that horse.
No,
she
no,
also
I-
has some good races.
I-
I get if you're concerned, though, if she is that same horse.
Well, I think Headland could take a step back. She's really going to run another 93 buyer today. And also, she comes out of I know it's a 4-horse field. It was a tough race that she was in. And it also fell apart. You know, Sterling Silver, who's
Pretty good
probably not
horse.
winning the Ballerina, but she's really good. She finished second in our priors last year. And Good Sam is a Peter Brandhorst, a good horse. Won the Tempted, I think, last year on her second start after a big maiden win. They're pretty good, and that race fell apart. So I think if you look at her race, I think the first instinct is to say, well, she came back of a long layoff, she stunk. I don't know. She had a lot of speed, got a lot out of the race, so I agree. I think I prefer Do You Look Cold. I feel like You Look Cold got good down in Florida.
And
She ran really
also-
well in a race, but I thought she was bad last time.
And wasn't she finishing second 2 back, even though that race earned a high buyer speed figure to a horse that then came back and has not been as good?
Well, but Can't Hurry Love was 5 lengths behind her, and she's run really well twice, so I think you
True.
can't say one without the other.
Rosebud's kind of not the same as
No,
she
but
was
Can't Hurry
then.
Love has run really well,
a
so
fair
I
point.
think
You're
it's
right.
not. I mean, I think it's a fair race. And listen, she can win this race as well. I mean, I don't love scratching into Headland. I really liked Unsung Melody in here,
Who
but
made
I
a
do
lot of
think
sense.
I guess she's the second likeliest winner. I mean, listen, she didn't beat that tough a field last time, but she ran. I mean, she
Oh, absolutely.
really ran. That was a fast race.
It was.
She runs anywhere
And you
close
can't
to that.
take it away from her. She ran that kind of number. All of these horses have a little bit of a question to answer, and she just has to repeat it.
She has to come close to repeating it. Race number 8. Race number 8. Oh, we went off the reservation finally. You took Rambique because I've picked her twice in a row, and I finally got rid of her.
No,
So
I've picked her.
She comes out of this race.
many times.
Well, hang on. She comes out of this race where Anatolin finished second and she finished fourth. Why do you like her out of this race? We'll show it.
I feel as though she's one that has been kind of needing to round back into fitness of the kinds of races that we saw from her last year. And her first start off the layoff was going 1.25 miles over turf that was rated as yielding. And she did not run really that well against some pretty good horses. We saw Highland Grace come back and be pretty decent. Peg's AK Girl has had the run of it a couple of times, but she's okay. And even Sister Bridget isn't even that bad either. So I thought that this race was another step in the right direction of getting back to the kind of horse she was last year. And now going third off the layoff, she might be able to take yet another step forward and reverse the tables on a horse that did get the better for this time. If she doesn't step it up, though, she's not going to do that.
She better really step it up. I mean, she was beaten by 3 lengths with a perfect I bet her last time. Trevor couldn't have ridden her any better than he did last time.
He gave her a great ride.
And she had a perfect trip in there, and she couldn't come close to Anatolian. I mean, listen, I've liked her in the past. I've just given up. In my feeling, she's 1 for 17, and she just runs in place. Listen, she's going to be a price. I get it.
I have to give her one more chance.
I'm done. I'm done with her. In fact, I basically want to go in a different direction than that race entirely, and I want
That's
2
fair.
horses. I want Sweet Duchess stretching out. I'm not convinced that she's going to be effective stretching out, but I'll tell you something. She's supposed to be absolutely loose in this race with Javier, and it's not as though I'm afraid of anybody in this race, and I think Javier's just supposed to go the lead with her and try to wire the field.
You know that he'll go.
What?
You know that he'll at least go.
Yeah.
If he's supposed to go, he'll
And
go.
I know Chili Flag disappointed the next race, but that was a really slow-paced race. She tried to close
She wasn't
into.
even that bad.
And she wasn't that bad, is exactly right. Now, listen, the knock on the problem, well, it's a funny thing with Modern Love. Because I was talking about this with Nick Tamero. And Nick said the problem with Modern Love is Chad Brown knows this horse is a half or full to competition of ideas, who is a great, won the race that should have been downgraded years ago, the American Oaks.
I had the same thought process as him.
But Chad did enter this horse in the turf in her second start, and the race got rained off, and then she wins. Whether it was Chad or the connections, they probably want to see her on the dirt again after she breaks her maiden on the dirt. So I'm not quite sure it's fair to say that Chad didn't try to get her on the turf, because he did. He entered her on the turf in her second start. And the reality is this is the surface she was bred for, and I'm going to tell you something. If she's a turf horse and she can handle the distance, which competition of ideas could, she found the right group.
To try it out.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even need to necessarily improve that much off of her dirt race. She does need to improve a bit, but not so much so that you would be inclined to believe that it's impossible if she is a turf horse.
Yeah, and Ian Wilkes had a very live horse in the last race that probably want to bet the next time it runs in the turf. Got the wrong setup there. I got to take this horse. I've just got to, because I just kept looking at these horses and my eyes were bleeding, because who in this race do you really want? You know what I mean?
Price.
Haven't we just seen enough of them? The thing is, okay, Avenue Neil Scratch is going to change the odds here, but they can bet Olivashka all they want. She was hideous in her return. Now, maybe she needed the race, but she was awful. She had only run 2.5 months earlier, so it's not like she was awful long layoff. And Graham is good with his Euros.
And I feel as though you wanted the other part of the entry a little
100%.
bit more.
I did want her. I don't want this one.
Right. But at the same time, perhaps I want to even try to make the argument that they might have come over here for firm turf and they didn't get it last time. So who knows? And I
Well,
think
they're
they
not getting firm turf today either.
No, but it's not going to be the same yielding that it was in that last
I'm not
race.
sure. You really think? I mean, I know it's listed as good. You really think the turf is going to be that much firmer than it was then? We had nothing but rain around here.
Yeah, I know. It's
I mean, I
wishful thinking.
wouldn't bet this horse on the assumption that they came over here firm turf.
No, I'm not betting this horse at all, period. I mean,
We have her second.
well, I had the other part of the entry.
Well,
but
that's why you
here we
go
are.
one plain like I do. You're new at this. You'll get better.
Yeah, it's my first time. You're right.
Race number 9 is the Personal Ensign. Personal Ensign, get out of here. You keep flying around me, you're going to be up there with your friends. Personal Ensign was
A champion.
maybe my favorite horse. She's on the list of favorite horses ever with Weah and Ruffian and those type. I was at Belmont when she won first time out by 12 3/4. I think it was 12 3/4. She went from 6 to 5 to 4 to 5, and this was 1985 or 6. 6. Horses did not go back then like
Take an
that.
odds drop like that.
Yeah, and she got left, and she won the Frizette over Collins, 3 horse fields on Columbus Day, and that's the race she got hurt in, and she still won the race. And her Breeders' Cup Distaff is it's just one of the great races of all time, right? We should have shown it.
Maybe that's a good suggestion. For
We should have
the
shown it.
show later.
Well, I don't know if Gary wants to see it because Gary did ride winning colors. I was teasing
We've
him about
shown
it.
enough for
I was
him.
teasing
We've
about it
shown
the other day on the
point
set.
given for him. It's okay. He
It's
takes
one of
some
those
and lose
races
some.
that every time I watch it, I'm just still not 100% sure she's going to get up. I feel like one day
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it and she's going to lose. I was there. It was the worst. It was the most miserable day ever. It was a great, great day of racing. I saw most of her races in person. Like the Molly Pitcher I didn't see, but almost all of her
Yeah.
races I saw in person.
Really cool.
I loved her. I really, really
incredible.
did. So Nest and Clairiere, the whole world has decided that Nest is
The new Malafat.
the greatest horse of all time. And you've picked her. You can talk about her. Here she is winning the Chouvet in a return.
Oh, I will preface this by saying that I'm always wrong about the Clairiere and whoever her new main rival is battle. And I always end up picking Clairiere when she doesn't win, and when I don't pick her, she does win. But here we are, and Nest, coming off of the layoff, had that tactical advantage on Clairiere. She does still project to in a day like this, even though there is going to be other speed in this race towards her inside. And she just was way too much for her in this spot. I know that Clarier's trying to run her down on the outside, but even if she takes another step forward, fresh off, now second off the layoff and here, I don't see enough to reverse the tables because Nest doesn't need the lead to be successful.
No, she doesn't. And she's not hurt by Idiomatic being the speed in this race. I don't think she's compromised. And I don't think Clairiere is particularly helped by the speed of Idiomatic because she's not going to be going that quickly, though. I would use her speed a little bit. But I have no problem with that. I know Todd Pletcher's been glowing about how Nest is doing, and I get all that. And she's going to be an overwhelming favorite here. And I don't think she should be an overwhelming favorite over Clairiere, given Clariere's oeuvre of work, because they ran in a match race last time where she had a giant tactical advantage. And she still ran a 194 Beyer. She didn't run off the screen in there. Now, obviously, Clairiere took a step back, but you look at Clariere's win 3 back over Secret Oath, and I'm glad to see Secret Oath back here as well. And who knows what you get from her, because when she was good early, she was good, but she kind of fell apart. But she has had a little time off. And listen, Wayne resurrected Azari. If you can do that, you can do anything. And this win kind of shows you the kind of desire that Clairiere has to win races, because no horse wins a race like this. And she's not running down a 50 claimer. She's running down the Kentucky Oaks winner, who ran very well before that. So
beat her
we've seen
time
Clairiere
before.
bounce back before from subpar races. And while I'm not saying she's more likely necessarily to win the Nest, but looking at David's morning line, and I think David's right. Nest is going
Oh,
to.
Nest will be
Nest
the
is
favorite.
everybody's darling, and maybe
Yes.
they're right. And she's run huge up here, and I get it. But I think 4-5 and 5-2, gambling standpoint, I'll take Clairiere every day of the week, and I'll probably lose, but I'll take it.
Which is kind of what I did last time because I wanted the horse that wasn't going to be the
But
favorite.
she was favored last time, Clairiere.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I picked her and thinking that she wouldn't be the favorite, and then she ended up being the favorite.
Right, but the fact is, of course, we're getting our day. We can see a little
The
blue
daily
sky,
shower.
the daily 1/50th of an inch of rain.
I get everything that you're saying. If you want to take either of them, you want to take the one that's not going to be the favorite in
No,
here, and it's not
no, that's
going
not
to
really
be.
what I'm saying. What I'm saying, I'm not. What I'm saying is at 4-5 versus 5-2. If it was 4-5 versus even money, she'd still be the second choice. And I'm not saying that she's a good bet at that. But I'm saying at 4-5 versus 5-2,
You take
I'm going
her.
to take money on a horse that's 1-for-1 against. They're 1-1 against each other. She drowned her in the Breeders' Cup last year, and maybe Nest has really grown up and improved. But I think people are already just sort of turning their backs on Clairiere because of basically a
one race.
match race last time out. And to me, that's overblowing it. They're acting.
overzealous.
Clairiere has just had an amazing career, and she ran down Search Results, who's a very good horse. She's this far away from being potentially a 2-time champion. So let's not dismiss, and it's already stopped raining. It just had to rain for 8 seconds. Idiomatic is everybody's wise guy horse in here, and maybe the
And
race
it's
will
not
be
that
over.
wise because the price won't be as good as it should be. No.
Well, we'll see. Well, I didn't show the start, which was a mistake of mine. I sent 4 zillion replays in. I forgot to show the start. She stumbled at the start, and she got badly compromised in this race. And yet she still was able to run a Classy Edition. Now, nobody in the Pletcher Barn is It's confusing, classy addition for Nest.
Sure.
But she's running some pretty good figs, and she had a massive advantage over Idiomatic, and she still beat her in this race. And she's run 2 straight triple-digit buyers, and it's not as though Nest's PPs are littered with fast figures, and Clariere's numbers are same as well. And what happens when she gets completely loose on this track? Are you sure she's not going to wire this field?
It's not impossible. I think that if you're trying to take her, though, I'd want a little bit more than this projected 3-1. But I don't dismiss her chances to totally upset this field at that price and be able to run away with this thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure her odds or her chance of winning this race are really less than 20%. And at 3-1, that you take out sort of where she is.
But if she's 5-1,
she's not going to be 5-1. Maybe she is. Maybe they're going to. Maybe Nest will be 2-5. I feel as though Nest may well be the likeliest winner in this race. She may well be. I'm not certain she is. I know she's going to be bet like she's 70% or 6 to win this race, and I think that's going overboard.
that's
And I want to see
completely
it to believe it because she's running against a horse who's in raging form that presumably won't stumble again. Will have a tactical advantage. Another horse who's having a pretty good year. And hopefully she won't hit her head in the gate like she did here last year and run badly. We'll see. And she's run well at Saratoga. I'm looking forward to this race.
It's going to be an exciting matchup.
Yeah,
and
I love the
and
personal Ensign.
we haven't talked about her that much, but Secret Oath as well. And I mean, even 63 Caliber, who has kind of, no hope on paper to compete at this level, but she's run some good races in the past for pieces of things too.
She has, I agree, and she could get a piece of this, and we'll get to her in a second. Secret Oath, we touched on. Listen, I'm glad to see her back, and as I said, I was here when Wayne resurrected Azari. I saw him do it, so I put nothing past that guy.
And his barn is going pretty well right now.
They are. And as far as 63 Caliber, Tom, congratulations, you didn't duck. Ducker Amos. I think Ducker Amos. Will Ducker Amos be saddling her and leaving, or will Ducker Amos be ducking down to West Virginia to saddle the best 3-year-old filly in the country? Who's your
I don't know,
filly?
but I will say that out of all the My Racehorse horses there are, this was a good one to be a part of.
That's a cool horse.
Yeah.
She is. And Tom's done a great job with her.
He has.
Absolutely. Much as it pains me to admit it, but she's a cool horse. I agree. And she's not far from being a contender here. She's not right. She's not 30-1 in this race. She's got credentials. Race number 10. This is the second time this poor group has been rained off the turf. I mean, it's just unbelievable. They can't. They just can't. We can't get a break. I don't know what to say about it. So, Bourbon and Honey.
Yeah. Are you a honey bourbon kind of guy?
I'm a honey. I like bourbon.
I've
I
heard
like
all
honey.
about the honey that you like. That's kind of a.
I got lots of honey going on.
Yeah.
I got a lot of honey. Drank a lot of tea in the last couple days. Street Boss. I love Street Boss. Go ahead.
I mean, I feel as though this is a horse that was in a off-the-turf race last time at Horseshoe Indianapolis and ran pretty well on debut.
Really? You think she runs a race on debut? She's going to hit the board in here? I mean, she's going to get
and would need to improve a little bit now.
No, she needs to improve a lot. Come on, Sarah.
A little bit.
No, she has to improve a lot.
Who's so scary?
Let's see. White Chocolate's better than she is. Arasu is better. I mean, both their races are significantly better. I mean, they're 8 lengths better than her race. Okay, going the distance. How was her debut? And then she ran off last time out. Even Fra Diavolo ran well. So how about risk-free? I mean, I hate to say it, but
risk-free.
Okay, but
I
you
was
say
on board until then.
They're in a big hurry here to get me off stage. Bourbon and Honey's race is considerably slower than every other horse in this race ever ran. You can like her, and you may be right, but don't tell me she ran well in her debut and she has to get a little better. She's got a lot better, doesn't she?
I don't think she has to get that much better. But she does have to get better, period, to be able to compete with some of these horses. I just feel as though second time out she could take that other step forward. Arasu does scare me, of ones that you did mention, because she did run pretty well last time out.
Yeah. Okay. We'll agree to disagree. I don't think there's anything about her debut that suggests she has a prayer in this race. She has a big turf pedigree, and I think Cherie wanted to get in the race, and maybe Cherie just said, I just want to get a race into her and take a shot that she runs okay. Listen, Cherie's terrific, but based on a race, she's in a lot of trouble in this race. I think they all scare me in this race, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm just going to take the horse we just showed going the distance. I thought she ran extremely well first time out, and then she just, I don't know what happened, but that race, 21 and 2:45, she just ran off. And I know they're trying to get on the turf. I'm not exactly sure why, because she doesn't exactly have much turf pedigree, and maybe that's a bad sign for her, and they're taking the blinkers off because maybe they ran off the blinkers. But I thought if she ran back to her first race, she'd be awfully tough in here.
Yeah, her first race was decent.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't disagree with that.
White Chocolate actually did run well. It's a horrible trainer change, but White Chocolate did run reasonably well first time out.
Well, and those are the stats that concern me a little bit going from the Asmussen barn over to Chad Summers because he doesn't have good numbers first off the trainer switch. And I feel as though this is a horse that's going to be overbet because it is the main track only entrant.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's an interesting point. I mean, she's probably supposed to be reasonably short if you don't pay attention to the trainer change. This is a...
But you and I do look at stats, so...
It's not stat, it's a bad trainer change. I think Fra Diavolo is dangerous in here. Honestly, I don't think you look at this race, right, and you look at the race she ran, and Frisk Free and Arasu ran her down, but they were just kind of picking up pieces at the end, right? She was doing the dirty work.
Right.
Little Prankster, just broke her in half top of the stretch. It was like 3 to 5.
But also, that was only her first race, and I feel as though just being able to be forwardly placed, it's okay to get a little bit tired in the later stages because she took pressure that whole way.
Yeah, no, I thought she actually ran well in there.
Yeah.
All right, well.
It's interesting on dirt for this race.
It is. I mean, obviously, it'd be nice if we got to run these races on turf, and I feel bad. You got people that ship these horses in here.
Absolutely.
They want to run these races, and it's like, it's one thing to get rained off once. I mean, there's so many horses that are getting rained off race after race, and how many times can you bring this race back?
It's frustrating for literally everyone to be involved with all of these races coming off the turf, but I will at least say, and I know you agree, these are really good betting opportunities because the public misbets races.
Well, I agree, and for instance, if White Chocolate's going to be the favorite in here, I can't bet enough in the race, and if she wins, I'm good. I lost.
Sure.
I'm okay with that. But yeah, I think that's fair. And listen, going the distance scratched actually on July 30th, and I wanted to bet her that day, so now I got a chance to lose money on her second time.
She's here for you.
Should we do this? What time are we starting? Like 9:45 or something?
Very early, over breakfast.
I can't have breakfast with my mom tomorrow.
That's really sad. Why don't you just bring her?
Lucy was here the other day. She's been here a couple of times. No, I should have. Yeah. Hopefully she'll come the last week. I should have. She was out. Yeah, she came out last Sunday actually. She's been here twice so far.
I've been deprived of a golden opportunity.
To see Lucy? I know.
Yes.
Well, I'll let you know if she comes again. Maybe she'll come next week.
We'll have to rectify that situation.
Maybe she'll go second. I'm not going to argue with that guy. Anyway, on that note, head over to Naira Bets. That's pretty funny. Head over to Naira Bets if you're not a member. Use the promo code SPOT200. We'll
you hear a lot of tips at the racetrack. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope that's not a bad one. SPOT200, and we'll match for $200 of your initial deposit. We got the middle pick 4. I know Sarah is excited about the middle pick 4. Do you put more or less than 30% of your daily bankroll into the middle pick 4?
My daily bankroll is only about the middle pick 4.
It's all the pick 4? That's it?
I have played a few of them. One of them paid considerably more than I thought it would have.
There you go.
Because it did have that, that Todd Pletcher horse whose name starts with an A, Angelique. I think her name was.
The one who won the 2-horse race?
No, she was a very heavy favorite in a spot where she probably shouldn't have been that heavy of a favorite. And
I know what you mean.
It still paid pretty well.
Yeah, guess what? That's why you used that's why you should never just summarily dismiss favorites. I'm sure that could be twisted into saying that apparently I used the favorite in every leg of every multi-race bet I've ever played. Ever. Never
Including
left
the
a favorite out of all multi-race. I didn't know I did that, but apparently I do.
Well,
I read it on Twitter.
Sometimes you learn a lot of things about yourself that you didn't
on Twitter,
know.
I know. I'm just mad at those guys that want us to raise the pick 6 takeout. I think that's pretty disgraceful. Shameful, actually. Anyway, what do we have next? Saratoga contest. This is the penultimate Saturday contest, Sarah. That's the first time I've got to say penultimate this year.
Are you so proud of yourself?
No, I'm not proud. I'm excited. I'm not proud. I'm excited. I'm excited
I'm
about
proud
it.
of you.
Are you? Thank you. I appreciate that. $300 buy-in. You have till 5 o'clock today to sign up. Head to Naira.com/. Oh, we got to go. We're almost done. We're almost out of time.
Hurry up.
Had so much fun.
I know. Well, you missed me last week. That's why.
I did. I had Frank, though. And he's, Frank is Frank.
Frank's incredible.
Purcell Ensign today and the 5 grade ones tomorrow. 2-day pick 6. So 9:15 to like 11:10 tomorrow. Oh, we got a lot of. That's gonna be fun. 9:45. 9:45. 9:45.
But I can be here
tomorrow.
at 9:15 instead if we need.
I won't be here at 9:15. I'll probably be in the shower or something. TMI. What else? Taste New York Pavilion. Heading right over. Get a few cocktails in before we start the day, or during the day. I'm 21. I can go. It's located near Gate A of the Berkshire Bank Family Zone.
72.
And here it is. 1 to 5:30 on FS2, 5:30 to 6:30 on FS1, including the Personal Ensign. Great matchup. Nest, Clariere, Idiomatic.
Secret Oath,
What about Tom Source?
63 caliber.
63 caliber
And
as well.
others.
Yeah, the legendary Tom Amos, competing in a Grade 1. He won the Gopher Wand here, Heritage of Gold, many years ago. It's his last Grade 1. No, he's had other Grade 1s. I'm kidding. All right, we're done. But Frank is getting revved up. He's up next. Reprise, Scratch and Change. Have a great day. Travers Eve, Personal Ensign Day.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.